Hi, my name is Robert Stevens, and I'm here to talk to you about the Synoptic Gospels, and whether or not they are a reliable source of information.
Champions that are inspired by training.
The Synoptic Gospels are the first three Gospels of the New Testament. They consist of the Gospel of Matthew, the Gospel of Mark, and the Gospel of Luke.
These components have their own unique elements, which will be expanded on as we work through the DVD.
First of all, we need to know the contents of the Gospels. First, we have the Gospel of Matthew. Matthew's content mainly speaks of Jesus' life, starting from his birth to the end of his time on earth. Second, we have the Gospel of Mark. Mark is believed to be the first Gospel written, and speaks mostly of Jesus' life from his baptism to the end of his time on earth, but mainly talks of the last week of his life. And thirdly, we have the Gospel of Luke. Luke mainly consists of the same contents as Matthew.
The synoptic problem is the literary relationships between the Gospels of Mark, Luke, and Matthew. Many scholars have come up with a hypothesis to this problem. There is a hypothesis called the two-source hypothesis, which is amongst one of the most accepted. This states that the Gospel of Mark was written first, and that the Gospels of Luke and Matthew use Mark as a source. Due to the fact that Matthew and Luke share much that is not found in the Gospel of Mark, it then comes to the conclusion of a second source, that Luke and Matthew borrow from, which scholars have named the Q document. The Q document is a theoretical collection of Jesus' sayings that has not been found yet. Many scholars accept this Q document theory despite never being found.
I received help from a scholar located in Afghanistan to help us about learning the Synoptic Gospels.
Hello Robert, how are you today?
Good. Is there anything you can tell us about the Synoptic Gospels?
Well, these Synoptic Gospels were written by the three people known as Matthew, Luke, and what is the other guy?
Mark, I
Mark,
believe.
that is it. Oh shit. Yeah, is he the one to lie? Oh good, thank you very much. I will be there very soon. I'm sorry Robert, but I need to go. I have a special delivery that has arrived. Bye.
Okay.
Talk to you later.
Thanks for the help.
Bye.
Bye.
After studying much evidence, these scholars have concluded that the Gospel of Mark was made before the other Gospels. This also helps prove that the two-source theory is correct, because the Gospel of Mark would have had to have been made before the other Gospels for this to be correct. The scholars believe that there is a problem with the Q document. Although it could exist, there is no evidence whatsoever to support the existence of such a document. Despite the evidence, an overwhelming majority of critically trained New Testament scholars still believe in the two-source hypothesis theory. Also, the scholars that you saw earlier agree that this is very likely.
There are many other hypotheses that state other things, such as Luke copied Mark, who copied Matthew, who was first, or Matthew copied Mark, who copied Luke, who was first. There are many more, but none are so famous as the two-source hypothesis.
Static stretching is done in your warm down.
Scholars generally date the Synoptic Gospels between 60 and 115 AD. As to the specific dates of each individual book, that is still to be decided. As of today, there is no specific date for each book, therefore, it is still a question whether Mark was first. My friend from Afghanistan would like to apologise for his behaviour earlier. After taking into consideration the evidence put forward, there is not enough evidence to prove or disprove the two-source hypothesis theory. There is no real certain datings for each individual book when they were made. Therefore, it is still a possibility that Mark was made after the other Gospels. The two-source hypothesis is still a theory, and there is no evidence to date to prove whether or not this is correct.